Did you know that nearly 48 million Americans suffer from food poisoning every year, and over 3,000 lives are lost due to it? What's even more concerning is that many of these victims are elderly people whose immune systems are no longer as strong as they once were, making them far more vulnerable. According to the CDC, a surprising number of these illnesses start right in your own fridge. You might be shocked to find out that several everyday meals could be turning into health hazards simply because of how they're stored in your refrigerator, the very appliance you rely on to keep your food fresh and safe. If you're passionate about living a healthier life, then this video is for you. Make sure to like and subscribe for more insightful health tips like this one. Recent studies have revealed a troubling fact. Some foods, when improperly stored in your fridge, can undergo harmful chemical reactions, lose nutrients, and even cause food poisoning. And to make matters worse, most people are completely unaware of the risks. If you've been casually storing certain fruits, vegetables, or even basic household ingredients in the fridge without a second thought, your health may be at risk. In fact, the first item on this list could not only reduce its nutritional value, but also produce harmful chemicals when refrigerated. Want to learn how to protect your health and avoid making these dangerous mistakes? Keep watching. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel for more content like this. Also, tell us in the comments below where you're watching from. Now, let's dive right into it. 1. The potato. Let's start with a kitchen classic that most of us toss in the fridge without a second thought: the humble potato. While it might seem like a harmless move, storing raw potatoes in cold environments can actually turn them dangerous. Here's why. When potatoes are refrigerated, a hidden cellular process kicks in that causes starch to rapidly convert into sugar. At first glance, this may seem like a minor issue, but as you cook these refrigerated potatoes, things take a turn for the worse. The sugars in these potatoes, when exposed to high temperatures, can react with amino acids to form a chemical called acrylamide, a compound linked to cancer in animal studies and now under investigation for its potential effects on humans. But that's not all. Refrigeration also causes oxidation and nutrient loss, which can alter the texture of the potatoes, making them gritty, mushy, and sometimes discolored. So instead of enjoying a deliciously hearty, crispy meal, you might end up with a soggy, overly sweet potato dish that could be harmful when consumed. If you've ever noticed that your roasted potatoes have an odd sweet flavor or texture, it's likely the fridge's fault. So, how should you store your potatoes? Keep them in a cool, dry, and dark place, away from direct sunlight and moisture. This simple change will help them retain their flavor, texture, and nutritional value. Your potatoes will stay safe, firm, and far more enjoyable when you store them the right way. Before you risk turning your next meal into a potential health hazard, let's talk about the fridge. It's supposed to keep food fresh, right? Well, not always. Did you know that certain foods, when stored in your fridge, can actually become more dangerous than you realize? If you're interested in keeping your meals safe and your health intact, make sure you like and subscribe for more educational videos just like this one. Now, let's dive into the next 2 items that should never go in your fridge. 2. Bread. A cozy mistake. Bread. A staple in many households, especially for elderly people who find it comforting and easy to eat. But here's the thing. Storing bread in the fridge, which seems like a good way to keep it fresh longer, is actually doing the opposite. This phenomenon, called retrogradation, happens when the starches in bread start to crystallize in cold temperatures. To put it simply, your bread goes stale faster in the fridge than it would at room temperature. Yes, you read that right. Refrigerating your light, airy loaf accelerates the staling process, so your bread will lose its soft texture and become dry and crumbly much quicker. But that's not all. Refrigerated bread also creates the perfect environment for mold to grow. When bread loses moisture in the fridge, it creates a humid, uneven environment, which is a breeding ground for mold spores. And the worst part, moldy bread is not just disgusting. It can be really harmful, especially for elderly people with weakened immune systems. Some molds produce mycotoxins, toxic chemicals that can have devastating effects on your health. So, what should you do instead? If you want to keep bread fresh for longer, freezing is your best bet. Freezing prevents styling and mold growth without compromising texture. Just slice your bread ahead of time and thaw it when you need it. For short-term storage, keep it in an airtight container or bread box at room temperature. 3. Onions, a surprising refrigerator. No. Next up, onions. You might be surprised to see onions on this list, but storing them in the fridge is a huge mistake. The papery skin of an onion is designed to keep out moisture and preserve its flavor, which helps maintain its firmness. But when onions are placed in the fridge, that balance is thrown off completely. Cold temperatures and humidity cause onions to absorb moisture quickly, which leads to mold, a sour taste, and a mushy texture. But the real issue with refrigerated onions goes beyond the mold. Onions release sulfur compounds as they break down in the cold, and these compounds can quickly spread throughout your fridge, contaminating other foods with their pungent smell. Ever opened the fridge to find your butter or fruit smelling like onions? That's exactly what happens. To keep onions fresh, store them in a cool, dry place, away from direct sunlight, and make sure they're in a well-ventilated area. Once cut, you can refrigerate them in an airtight container to prevent moisture and odors from spreading. You may not realize it, but your fridge could be hiding some serious health risks, especially if you're storing certain foods in there. While we all trust the fridge to keep our food fresh, there are a few common items that should never be stored in cold temperatures. If you're curious about how to keep your food safe and preserve its nutrients, make sure to like and subscribe for more tips on how to avoid hidden kitchen hazards. 4. Onions, a hidden risk in your fridge. You may have heard that onions absorb toxins, but that's actually a myth. However, there's a hidden risk when it comes to storing onions in the fridge. Even though onions don't absorb toxins, they do absorb moisture, which is a breeding ground for bacteria. If onions are stored in the fridge, whether they're whole or sliced, bacteria can easily grow on them, even if they're covered. Here's the problem. Onions, when exposed to dampness in the fridge, become perfect hosts for harmful microorganisms. Not only do they lose their firmness and flavor, but they also turn into a potential health hazard. So, don't let your fridge become a hidden onion landmine. The best way to store onions is in a cool, dark, dry place with proper ventilation, like a pantry. If you need to refrigerate sliced onions, make sure they're in an airtight container and used within a couple of days. Storing onions correctly will help prevent bacterial contamination and keep them safe to eat. 5. Tomatoes, the cold truth. Tomatoes are one of the most misunderstood foods when it comes to refrigeration. Many people believe that putting them in the fridge will extend their freshness, but this couldn't be further from the truth. In reality, cold temperatures seriously affect the texture and flavor of tomatoes. Tomatoes are tropical fruits, and when stored in the fridge, they can't ripen properly. The cold disrupts their natural enzymes, and without proper ripening, tomatoes lose their characteristic flavor. The result? A bland, watery, and mealy tomato that's a far cry from its juicy, flavorful self. Plus, the cold also compromises the vitamin C in tomatoes, making them less nutritious. Another downside of refrigeration? Tomatoes lose their firmness and become mushy or rubbery. Their skin starts to shrivel, and they just look sad and unappealing. So, what's the best way to store them? Keep your tomatoes at room temperature, stem side down, and out of direct sunlight. This allows them to ripen naturally and maintain both their flavor and nutritional value. If they start getting too ripe, use them right away or turn them into sauce. But whatever you do, don't refrigerate them. 6. Garlic, a superfood. Turned risky garlic is often considered a superfood thanks to its sulfur compounds, like allicin, which are known to support the immune system and regulate blood pressure. However, storing garlic in the fridge can turn it from a health booster into a potential risk. When garlic is kept in cold and moist conditions, like those in the fridge, it begins to sprout prematurely. This not only alters the flavor, but also changes its chemical composition, making it less effective and even potentially harmful. For optimal freshness and health benefits, garlic should be stored in a cool, dry, and well-ventilated area at room temperature. If stored this way, garlic can last for weeks or even months. But in the fridge, you're likely to lose its nutritional power, and those sprouts might just turn your garlic into a kitchen disaster. You might think you're storing your food safely, but some of the most common fridge mistakes could be silently putting your health at risk. From vegetables to spices, certain foods should never see the inside of your refrigerator. And if you're guilty of these storage blunders, it might be time to reconsider your food habits. Like and subscribe for more life-saving tips that will keep you and your food safe. 7. Garlic. A superfood. Gone bad garlic has long been touted as a superfood packed with sulfur compounds like allicin, which are known to help reduce blood pressure and support the immune system. But if you store garlic improperly, especially in the fridge, it loses its potency fast. When garlic starts to sprout, it loses its sharp, health-boosting flavor. Worse, when garlic is minced or chopped and stored in oil, it creates the perfect environment for the botulism-causing Clostridium botulinum bacteria to grow. This rare but deadly disease can cause paralysis and even death if not treated quickly. Despite warnings from the FDA, many people still store garlic in oil at room temperature or in the fridge, unaware of the risks. If you want to keep garlic fresh, store it whole in a dry, well-ventilated area, like a basket or mesh bag. For chopped garlic, use it immediately or store it in vinegar or lemon juice, both of which act as natural preservatives. And whatever you do, never leave garlic sitting in oil unprotected. 8. Coffee. The scent-sucking sponge. Coffee lovers, take note. Your fridge is the last place you should store your precious beans or grounds. Coffee is extremely sensitive to moisture and smells, and once it enters the cold confines of your fridge, it begins to absorb the odors from everything around it. Leftovers, produce, even cleaning supplies. The result? A brew that's bland, bitter, or downright strange in flavor. But that's not the worst part. The real issue lies in condensation. Every time you open and close the fridge door, moisture forms on the coffee beans or grounds, which speeds up the breakdown of the vital oils, like chlorogenic acids, that give coffee its flavor and health benefits. The oils break down faster in cold, moist environments, which leads to stale, clumpy coffee and a loss of antioxidants that are great for your heart and brain. For the best flavor and freshness, store your coffee in an opaque container in a dark cupboard at room temperature. Keep it away from moisture and odors, and it'll stay fresh longer. Your morning cup will thank you. 9. Honey, the golden dilemma. This might surprise you, but honey is another food that doesn't belong in the fridge. Although it's thick, golden, and looks right at home in your cold storage, refrigerating honey actually ruins its texture and consistency. When honey is chilled, it becomes much thicker and more difficult to pour, losing that smooth, runny consistency we all love. More importantly, putting honey in the fridge accelerates the crystallization process, causing it to harden much faster. You might also notice a change in flavor, as cooling honey can dull its natural sweetness. The best way to store honey is in a cool, dry place at room temperature. If it does crystallize, you can always warm it up gently by placing the jar in a bowl of warm water. But don't subject it to the cold. Your honey will thank you. You might think that refrigerating some of your kitchen staples is the best way to preserve them, but in reality, it's doing more harm than good. Let's dive into the next set of foods that should never be stored in the fridge. If you're ready to protect your health and food, don't forget to like, subscribe, and keep watching. 10. Honey. The sweet mistake. Honey is an incredible natural preservative that can stay fresh indefinitely without refrigeration. However, putting it in the fridge completely disrupts its natural preservation mechanism. The cold accelerates crystallization, turning honey into a hard, gritty mess that's almost impossible to spread or scoop. But it's not just about texture. When honey is opened and closed frequently during this process, air pockets form, allowing moisture to sneak in. Honey, being naturally resistant to moisture due to its low water content, can ferment if exposed to dampness. This leads to a sour smell and taste, which completely ruins its delightful flavor. Even worse, moisture in the fridge can compromise honey's natural antibacterial properties. These properties, which help fight off bacteria, are diminished by the cold temperatures, reducing its health benefits. So, what's the best way to store honey? Keep it in an airtight container in a cool, dark place away from sunlight. This will preserve its silky texture, rich flavor, and medicinal qualities for as long as possible. 11th, bananas. The chilled mistake. Bananas are a go-to fruit for many, especially seniors, due to their high potassium content and easily digestible nature. But putting bananas in the fridge, especially before they're fully ripe, is a sure way to ruin them. Bananas are tropical fruits designed to thrive in warm climates, and cold temperatures disrupt the ripening process. If stored in the fridge, their ripening enzymes stop working, and your bananas might never reach their full sweetness. Worse, their skin turns dull grey or black, and the fruit inside can become mushy and acquire an unpleasant metallic taste. Refrigerating bananas also depletes their valuable antioxidants, especially dopamine and catechins, which are crucial for brain health and reducing oxidative stress. For seniors, these antioxidants are particularly important for fighting age-related cell damage. Moreover, when bananas are chilled, moisture can build up inside the skin, especially around the stem, which leads to mold growth, especially if the banana is already overripe. This can make them a breeding ground for harmful bacteria. To keep bananas ripe and full of nutrients, store them at room temperature in an airtight container or hang them on a hook. If you've got too many ripe bananas, you can freeze peeled ones for smoothies or baking. But avoid freezing whole bananas. They'll lose their texture and flavor. 12. Olive oil. The fridge's fatal flaw. Olive oil is a staple in many kitchens, prized for its heart-healthy fats and versatile use in cooking. But did you know that putting olive oil in the fridge can actually cause it to lose its flavor and texture? Olive oil solidifies when chilled, turning it into a waxy, hard substance that's hard to pour or use. While refrigeration can extend olive oil's shelf life by slowing oxidation, it's unnecessary and does more harm than good. The cold temperatures interfere with its natural flavor profile, making it less aromatic and reducing its nutritional value. To keep your olive oil fresh and functional, store it in a cool, dark place away from heat and light, like a pantry or a cabinet. This will maintain its liquid state and ensure that it retains its health benefits and rich flavor. When it comes to food storage, the fridge isn't always the answer, especially for certain products that could be harmful when kept cold. For seniors in particular, improper food storage can exacerbate health problems. One such culprit? Olive oil. Let's explore why storing olive oil in the fridge can be one of the worst decisions for older adults and how it affects not just flavor, but health. 13. Olive oil. The hidden danger in your fridge. Olive oil, praised for its heart-healthy benefits, may actually become a health risk when stored in the fridge. The cold causes the oil to solidify due to a process called crystallization, where the fatty acids in the oil form solid clumps. While this change doesn't harm the oil outright, it can lead to serious health consequences, especially for seniors. The real issue lies in the temperature fluctuations. Moving olive oil in and out of the fridge stresses its chemical structure, accelerating oxidation. This process generates free radicals, unstable molecules that can cause inflammation and damage cells, particularly harmful for older individuals. Oxidized olive oil may no longer provide its heart-healthy benefits and could actually contribute to joint inflammation and gastrointestinal discomfort. But that's not all. The solidification of olive oil in the fridge makes it difficult to pour and can lead to accidental overuse, adding unnecessary calories to an already delicate diet. Plus, the chilling process drastically alters its flavor, stripping away the fruity, peppery notes that make it a cornerstone of the Mediterranean diet. So, how should you store olive oil? Keep it in a sealed metal or dark glass container, away from heat and direct sunlight. A pantry or kitchen cupboard is perfect. Stored this way, high-quality olive oil can maintain its flavor and nutritional value for up to 2 years, allowing you to enjoy its full benefits without compromising your health. To wrap it up, 9 foods you should never refrigerate. Now that you know the dangers of refrigerating certain foods, let's recap the essentials. Avocados and bananas. Don't refrigerate until fully ripe. Onions and potatoes. Store in a cool, dark place, not in the fridge. Bread. Best kept at room temperature or frozen if necessary. Honey. Keep it in the pantry, not in the fridge. Coffee. Store in an airtight container, away from moisture. Tomatoes, garlic and olive oil. Treat these items with care. They contain natural compounds that give them unique health benefits. Proper storage will preserve their flavor and health advantages. What's your take? Before you go, we want to hear from you. Have you been unknowingly storing these foods in the fridge? What changes will you be making in your kitchen starting today? Drop your thoughts and experiences in the comments below and share any tips you might have. Thanks for watching. We appreciate your time and hope this information helps you keep your food and your health safe.